All right, what's up, everybody? This is CJ, aka Slippin Jimmy, here from the Outlier Discord. Happy to have you join me here for another look ahead show as we go through the upcoming week's lines for NFL. Already at week 7. That's hard to believe we are past the third of the season. Wow, yeah, it's so much stuff going on. We know that this is the sports equinox month. I know personally, you can see I've got my Mets gear on right now. I was joining you last week and was pretty somber after a brutal game 2 loss to the Phillies. Amazing week if you're a Mets fan. Pretty crappy start to game 1 tonight, but long series here with the Dodgers. But won't get into baseball really that much on this stream. We're here to talk football, and we wanted to start looking at the upcoming week's lines. For anybody who has not ever joined this show, here's how the rundown usually works. Basically, we're going to go through the upcoming week's lines. We're going to try and talk a little bit about what might influence that line to go one way or another, whether it's a total, a spread, money line. See if we can snipe some of those EV lines right now and get you kind of the best closing line value that if you're trying to attack some openers or some games that you want to circle, this is a great place to start. So, without further ado, I'm going to pull up Outlier here on my screen. And we've got the week 7 lines already pulled up here. If you ever, by the way, want to start looking at some of these lines, they do get pulled. I've talked to some of the Outlier folks. They will be available usually around 6 or 7 p.m. Sometimes they will be available as the 4:30 p.m. games are still playing. So if you really want to, jump in here even earlier, you can do that. We obviously schedule this for 9 because we want to try and see as many of them as we can get available. So with that, let's look at the Thursday night game to start. You've got the Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints. The line to me here is being priced. I'm going to guess. Let's see. What is Derek Carr? Yeah. So Carr here is. I'm not sure if he is going to play. If I look, I'm just pulling up Twitter on my end just to see. Was there any status for Derek Carr? Not seeing any major news here with Derek Carr. I'll see if I can find anything else in the meantime. But let's assume that this is going to be a Spencer Rattler game. To be honest, I didn't think Spencer Rattler looked that bad today. He was playing catch up, but that final score was not indicative of that was actually a close game in the third quarter. The Saints were up 27-24 in that game, and then they kind of let it get away from them. Obviously, he's a rookie quarterback. Bucks have a pretty good team. They can score a lot of points. I think that was indicative more of the Saints offense than it was, or Saints defense more than it was than the Saints offense in that one. So we are seeing that this is a little bit plus EV right now. So if we click in here, all right. So 1.4%. That is that's not nothing. That we're looking here at Pinnacle. We take a look at the Pinnacle price. You're going to see here, if I zoom in, maybe we'll zoom back out because I like having the over under here on as well. We're seeing -1 at -109. So you are going to use the channel to go live on top of the shark from TikTok. Yes, that is also true for sure. We have a lot of folks that are on the TikTok here as well for Outlier. If you guys are looking, by the way, for a slip build, we do those throughout the week. We've got I know we've got Embohm, we've got Rosenberg, we've also got Vital Capper as well. So yes, there's a slew of us. This is just one of the shows that we do through on Twitch as well as the other outlets. So back to the game at hand here, though, we see that the Saints a little bit shaded here. Not seeing a line yet from Bookmaker. We'll maybe refresh that. And then minus 110 here on the Bet Online side. So the one key thing here is Denver had a very key injury today, which was arguably their best defensive player in Patrick Surtain. He is, I think there's almost zero chance he plays in this game. Sustained a concussion in that one against the Chargers today. Got to fly from Denver, obviously, on a short week. So my guess is that he does not play in this game. I'm just curious what the money line is on this, and it's minus 110. Usually, I'm just going to say if you're, under two, that you're just going to play the money line. In this case, I actually think minus one at plus 100 is not a bad bet. In this case, we will not see Sertan. I can tell you that there's probably going to be at least like a little bit of buzz that Rattler was okay this week. And also Bo Nix, I mean, that was a pretty bad performance by Bo Nix as well. So could see some money here towards New Orleans. I don't love New Orleans. I don't really think that that's one of my favorite picks on here. I think that the total here though is maybe a little low as well at 37.5. But again, this is a Thursday night game, so don't love it, but I am willing to at least agree a little bit with market there that New Orleans should be maybe moving to I would say a 1.5, maybe a 2. Don't see it going much further than that. All right, man. How bad do you have to feel here for your English brethren? And I believe this is even going to be in Wembley Stadium too, which is the bigger of the two London games that they play that at. I don't even know if I really want to talk that much about this game because of just how bad these two teams have been. I sadly had money on Jacksonville today. I also sadly had money on New England today, and that did not work out for me in the slightest. Those were both games that was pretty clear that that was not even going to come close to coming through. So Doug Peterson probably still has a job only because they are still in London. No major injuries that I saw today. I know that ETN hurt his hamstring. If anything, that might have been better for Jacksonville just to give the ball to Tank Bigsby a little bit more. New England just got totally carved up today at home by Houston. Jacksonville, on the flip side, got totally carved up by Chicago. So 42.5 does actually, if I'm looking at this one, I don't know if I have a side I'm interested in. I am curious on that 42.5, and it does look like we're seeing this at 43. It's a cheap 40, or I'm sorry, it's a cheap 43. But we are seeing a little bit of movement there on Pinnacle. Interesting though that Bookmaker, this is 41.5, so we've actually seen it go the other way. If you have followed along or you're kind of looking for market signals, that's usually a sign that we probably just it's a stay away then. So even though this is Pinnacle saying that this should take a little bit of money to be over, I tend to agree on that. But Bookmaker being at 41.5 and then a full point, and then also Bet Online being at 42, that would make me pause here. So going to stay away, but I would call that out at 42.5 as that being an interesting total to look at. No interest really there on the side because I have no idea if Jacksonville has completely quit, if this is Peterson's last game, and I have no idea that if Drake May is going to be worse than what we saw today or if he's going to be markedly better. Just no real opinion there. Eagles and Giants, we have to skip this one. So one thing we do on the Look Ahead show is we make sure that we're not looking at games with teams that are currently playing, just because that is going to potentially have injuries that's going to affect the next week's line. And also, if a team ends up looking really good or looking really bad, then we could also see a change in where that line movement's going to go. So Monday night games and current Sunday night game that is going on right now, going to ignore those teams. Only comment I would say here is that I thought the Eagles kind of got off by the skin of their teeth today against probably one of the worst 5 teams in the league, and this is coming off of a bye. Just would just eye that one. 4 points seems a little bit high for me. All right, this one's got obviously a huge injury to talk about, which is Aiden Hutchinson. I think was well on his way to winning a Defensive Player of the Year this year. If you go to PFF, he is the highest graded defensive player in the league through the first 6 weeks. He's been tremendous. He's gotten better each season. He's a huge piece. Losing him definitely matters for a Detroit defense that really has him, not a lot of other pieces. So Detroit here, I'm looking here at the line. So 1.5. Minnesota coming off a bye and at home. The total here is interesting also at 40.5. I'm sorry, 40.5. My God, 50.5. That is kind of high. And I don't know, has Detroit really gone over this that often? Not much. Yeah, they've actually been surprisingly a pretty dead under team. And I'm just looking to see all their games here. Yeah, so they've had some very high totals in some of these games. So if you look at the Rams, Tampa, Arizona, you could make the case that their offense is starting to figure things out. They scored 42 against Seattle. They scored 47 against Dallas. So, offense is certainly looking a lot better. I got to give maybe a little bit more credit to Minnesota's defense here. If we just look at injuries, just seeing if there's any other major. Yeah, Minnesota's defense is fairly healthy and coming off a bye. So the more I'm kind of looking at this, I'm actually probably leaning a little bit more towards the under here. 51.5 on Pinnacle, 51.5 here on Bookmaker, and then where is that game here for Bet Online? 51.5 on Bet Online. So yeah, I think 51.5 is a little bit high. I mean, I know Penny has this a little bit shaded. Boy, these are two really good offenses. And the Hutchinson injury is definitely impactful. I don't know really what to make of this. I'm going to probably say pass for now. I do think we could see some Minnesota money come in here at -1.5. I'm seeing -1 at Pinnacle, though, -1.5 at Bookmaker, and -2 shaded -115 there for on Bet Online. So, yeah, I would actually say Minnesota money line for me. I'm going to add that there as a potential pick because I do think that the Hutchinson injury that matters. Detroit's offense obviously looking very good. Minnesota's defense, though, they have been pretty stout, or they've been good, at least mostly against the run this year. So it's one thing that Detroit really wants to try and do, and that they've been doing a lot better recently. I would say that Minnesota money line under -120 is not a bad bet right now, especially for a team coming off a bye, and we know that they're going to also be very well coached. So let's move on to another NFC North team here with the Packers and the Texans. Packers at -2.5. So thinking about the line here, -3 on Houston, or I'm sorry, -3 even taking a little bit. If we look at Pinnacle, that has gotten to it's a very, very cheap -3. I'm going to guess it is -3 here. I'm sure that is going to be, uh, around some plus money or close on Bookmaker. And then if we take a look on Bet Online, plus 100 here. So interesting that got to 3. There's been a lot of resistance this season on the teams that are at 2.5. Once they get to 3, there is pushback. So I've talked about this on the show before. When you're looking at a minus 2.5, if you believe that there's a real chance that this could get to 3.5, then it's worth betting right now, because that extra point is going to be massive, because that team, if it gets to 3.5, they're going to have to they're going to have to score a touchdown basically to cover. If it is a game that's going to be close, you think that you would like to get that extra half point, usually you can wait on it, because 2.5s and 3s, well, if you get a 3, you might actually get a very cheap 3 if you wait, and you also likely still get the 2.5, because again, usually if it's going to be close and the teams are that close, it's likely not going. The 3 is more valuable as a dog than it is as a favorite. So if you're betting the favorite, probably wait unless you think it's getting the 3.5. If you're betting the dog, if you get that 3 and you can see that and it's cheap earlier in the week, then go grab it. That's usually kind of the way to approach these things. So plus 3 here. Houston's been, you can see here, excellent on covering the spread. This is a little bit slightly EV. I really like this Green Bay team right now, given how they've been playing. I know they played Arizona and they played a Rams team, both with very bad defenses. We will have to see what this looks like in terms of, if I just look at, yeah, I mean, Texans, we're just, again, I'm not looking at stuff like DVOA or anything yet. We got to wait for that. But passing yards, quite good. Passing yards as Packers, very good. Packers have been an amazing rush offense. You can see that we're not as great. They're okay. Yo, what's up, Vital Capper? Happy to see you. Thank you for joining once again. So Houston's defense, I would say, has probably been pretty good. I think they are top 10 by DVOA, that I would want to point out. I can double check that here if I have a little bit of time later. But I do think that this is a good matchup here again for the Packers. Houston's, they've, I don't really know what to make of Houston. Impressive win at New England today, all things considered. They obviously beat the Bills. They played one good team on the road, and that was Minnesota, and they got spanked in that game. They will have Mixon for this, I assume, but otherwise, I would say Packers probably for me are the play in this one. 47 probably seems fair, but like I said, Houston, if you want to back yes, EV Page has been treating me well. Books to D-Big props against. Absolutely. Yeah. So on Outlier, if you, what Vital is referring to there is the EV screen right here. So if you are on the Outlier Pro, one of the additions, you can get to see this EV screen. You can D-Big this against any one of these different books. I usually like to, by the way, do this as multiple books to get a little bit more conservative of an estimate. But yeah, great feature here that Outlier has. So with that, I'm going to say for me, right now, my pick probably would be Packers, but I would say you are not. It's probably, I don't know if you're going to get a +3 at a -110 for Houston very often this week. So that one, I would say, is one that I would probably add here. EV props to Penny. Vital, which books do you DVIG props for? 2 books, yep, on the market. I'll see if Vital's listening here. I'll just, if you do, Vital, chime in and let us know what is the book that you like to DVIG for props. I personally, by the way, do this differently for each sport because there are just different sharp books for different sports when it comes to the prop market. All right, let's keep rolling along. So we've got, this is an interesting one here to me, which is Seattle and Atlanta. Seattle coming off the Widowmaker, as some of the guys on, I know, like the Deep Dive podcast, very, very good betting NFL podcast. If you ever want to check that out, they like to call this, and this is a spot where you have a team that had just played on a Thursday night, and they get basically a mini bye. So they're getting an additional 3 days rest before they have to play the following week. They are coming East Coast. But they do have the additional rest here. So I would say that is still probably an advantage for Seattle. And as I kind of expected, we're seeing some market love here for Seattle as well. Bunny line plus 136 and that plus 3. Yep, right here as well. So I also like Seattle in this spot. I know Seattle looked terrible against the Niners. I just think this Atlanta team, until proven otherwise, looks pretty fugazi. I mean, I'm not going to give them a ton of credit for beating Carolina today. Carolina has a terrible defense that, I mean, we've seen the Bears recently just exploit. We saw the Bengals recently exploit. They are definitely one of the worst, probably 5 defenses that we would say by scoring is in the league. Vital, certain home run, MGM. Yes, I agree. Yes, on that as well, Vital. And by the way, like a lot of this stuff too, especially when you're going into props, you're not going to really know which book is best for it until you just consistently are betting that singular or same market. And then over time, you're going to know that that's probably the best place for the best price. And usually they're going to be a little bit off. Baseball, by the way, just because you mentioned that, Vital, total bases, if you have Bet 365, I can guarantee you that Bet 365 will have the best price on the total baseline like 9 out of 10 times. They always are going to be at least 5 or 10 cents off a market. So just an example there, but something to keep in mind. All right. So with this one, though, yes, really like Seattle. We'll take a quick look here on Pinnacle. You can see this is already minus 125 on Pinnacle. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this gets to 2.5 very soon, and it's already there on Bookmaker. So we've got probably, I'd say, out of all the ones we've looked at, this is to me the first clear one that you will definitely see some movement towards. And that would be this Seattle +3 line. So we'll add this here to our picks list and continue on to look at the remainder here of week 7. But that's probably my favorite one I've seen so far on the board, which is the +3 for Seattle. Tennessee and Buffalo, got to skip that one. Again, this is just Buffalo playing on Monday night. Tennessee is not very good, and Buffalo, we got to see what Josh Allen looks like, to be honest, tomorrow. That's the big thing. He did sustain a concussion, although he is apparently fine to play tomorrow. So I would say keep an eye on that one. Tennessee is pretty bad, but it's just sometimes teams, I believe, heading into this week, I think I'd heard some stat that teams that were favored by 6+ or more points, I think we're like 6-19 against the spread or something. So I think this week has been a little bit more chalk, but that is a lot of points. Bengals and Browns, same thing. We're going to skip that here again. I think that this is already on the look ahead too low. I think the Browns are maybe the worst team in football. They're bad. They gave Philly a game today, and because I don't know if Philly was really prepared well at all for that game. So I would say, as a look ahead, even before we see what happens in tonight's game, Cincinnati -4 is seems a little short to me. Dolphins and Colts. This one's hard to get kind of a read on because the Dolphins, my guess here is that we are still not going to see Tua in this. Jalen Phillips also going out on IR. That stinks for them. Man, they've just looked. So if we look at their what has been their point total since? Just curious, because it's going to have it in the last 10 here. So 15, 12, and 3, and 10. So Miami has, I'm going to guess they've got to be one of the lowest scoring offenses in the league. Yeah, they are dead last in scoring right now. So that's interesting to me a little bit. Now the Colts, they got a nice win today. Flacco again has some magic. Will we see A-Chain in this one? Probably, I'm going to guess, because he got a concussion. They have the bye week. I would think you're going to see him back. Any other major ones here? Yes, Ryan Kelly. Missed some time. Yeah, so Colts are missing quite a few guys from their line. They are missing Will Freeze, their starting guard. They just got back their starting center. He's gone now. And then if we look at what is A-Rich doing, very close to playing. So Richardson might play in this one. Are they better with Richardson than they are with Flacco? I don't really know. Fade the Fins here. Man, I want to, but we know in the NFL that you are never as bad as you look, and you're never almost as good as you also look as well. I do like Downs. I know you're bringing that up there, Vital, as in the chat there. He's been electric the last couple of weeks. We look here. This is a 4, and what's on the spread? +4, -110. -116. So market is actually trending a little bit towards the Dolphins, but again, Richardson, again, Steichen said he was very close to playing today. So Will Richardson, I don't know what he's worth to this line, maybe a half point, but I could see some resistance coming back there. For me, I don't know if this would be a bet, just because I still don't really know what to make of Miami. New England was basically dying to give them the game the last week, and we know New England's really bad. So the only thing I could say here is 42.5 does seem like, I feel like that might be slightly high. I could see this actually going under if we're looking at a play there, a little bit shaded. Yeah, no play for me personally on this one. I agree. If I were a Colts fan, I'd rather have Flacco out there too. I think Flacco probably gives you a better chance to play. Fade the movement. Yeah, I would agree. So if you were going to get Indy, definitely do not take them now. I do think there will be some movement towards Miami here. And then there might be some buyback on Indy whenever Richardson is announced that he will play. So, but offensive line injuries do concern me a little bit. I just don't really know what Miami's, like, how great of their pass rush is. Actually, just double check that real quick. So, and this is one good thing I like about Outliers. Like, it's just very easy to, before I go and look at some of the more advanced stuff, if I look going for like PFF, is just to quickly check here, like on some of those different rankings. Yeah, I mean, defensively, they're like okay. They're quite good against the pass also too. So, and I agree with you, Vital. I don't trust either team to really move the ball. I don't think what has Richardson done to really show that we should trust him on anything. So, I feel like you might have talked me into. I'll add an under here. Might see some money come under that. We'll see. I don't know. Raiders and the Rams. I would say, boy, this one. It's another one I don't really know what to make of, but I don't see any way you can back the Raiders with AOC as a starter. So I don't know what's the status of that. I'll just check here. Let me see. Did Pierce say anything after the conference today? I'm not seeing anything yet. I don't know if Minshew plays here. I would like the Raiders maybe a little bit more if Minshew plays, but for me, this is Rams. I think Rams would be the play in this one. Do we know also too, like, are the Rams getting back anybody? Are they getting back? So Cup, okay, so Cup at least is questionable now. We could maybe see him in this game. I think definitely if you see Cup playing or Cup practicing, this is going to move. This will absolutely move more towards the Rams. Uh, yeah, I think I'd have to add Rams there. I don't know if that would be one of the final ones, but I do think don't love Rams having to cover over, I guess, a touchdown there, but I think that is probably the look. Um, and for people that have not joined previous weeks, I would say I'm a Steeler fan at my core, and I can tell you the Steelers are not very good, and the Raiders made the Steelers look uh, like they were the Kansas City Chiefs earlier today. Although that maybe not isn't accurate anymore because the Chiefs don't score. Panthers and the Commies. 51. All right, that was immediately the number I was looking at, which was the total 51 and a half. I I don't know. I might even look at an over there. Definitely. I mean, that's a lot of points for Washington to. Uh, oh, happy for you, Vital. This has got to be the most excited you've been probably since the RG3 years. That's uh, yeah, no, definitely. This is a franchise that has gone through quite a bit, but yeah, 8 points is a lot. Although I think you kind of have to power rate Washington in definitely that top half of the league at this point. Their defense has played at least better of late. What was that? How much did they give up today? Though they got smoked today by 30 points today. So not smoked by the spread, but just smoked by the opposing offense here. Carolina's not going to be able to move the ball quite like obviously Baltimore was. Baltimore's definitely cooking. I don't know if I would. 8 points would be a lot for me to have to get there with Washington. There's definitely some way though. I'd be looking for short props in this one. Nothing for me on the plays, but or at least the main lines. But I would just say look for some props here when those start to open up. If you guys are wondering when those props open up, typically it's around Tuesday, Wednesday. You can set alerts if you say filters an outlier and on specific players for on those teams, and then you will get notified, which that is a good strategy to keep in your back pocket. All right, here's a fun one. So this is definitely the game of the week for sure next week. So Kansas City, we are getting points with Kansas City here at San Francisco. What is the injuries that we need to know about here? So, yeah, we're not going to get Pacheco back for this. So, and then let's look at our. Is Mason going to be back here? Because Mason did get hurt, I thought. I could have sworn I saw Mason out today. Maybe not. I have to double check that. But so let's take a look here and go back here at Pinnacle. So you can see a little bit of money here, or at least the line. Pinnacle thinks that this should be probably closer to a pick 'em. Bookmaker has this as a +1, -1, and this +1, and this is trending closer to a pick 'em. So, this is one here where it's like, I mean, if you can get what is that Chiefs price on plus? Yeah, does that wire have? Is there an alt line just even for the +1? What's the +2.5, +1, -110? What's the money line for the Chiefs? minus 102. Yeah, I mean, this is probably getting close to a pick 'em. Um, I, I agree with Vital what you're saying here, and it's hard to not take KC in the points. I'd probably make this closer to a pick 'em as well. I mean, San Francisco, though, the one thing is that Purdy has been playing excellent all season by adjusted quarterback efficiency. If you ever go check out, there's a really great Substack that I read every week on unexpected points. They take EPA and they also take a couple other factors and build a what they call adjusted quarterback efficiency. Brock Purdy is number one in that category, and he also meets the eye test. He's been phenomenal this season. So I don't know if the Chiefs have really seen a quarterback. If you go back and look at their schedule here, they had Carr, they had a banged up Herbert, they had Cousins, they had Burrow, who was probably not totally right, and then they had Lamar in the week one. So Lamar one was legit, but I think if you're getting points here, really on either side, that's probably the side for me that I would play. 46 and a half. Yeah, that's probably right. What am I seeing? Yeah, a little bit shaded more towards the under. I was going to say under might honestly be a play just because I feel like the Chiefs have been, they have definitely been more of an under team. And especially more recent. So their defense has been playing also quite well. So under here would be a look for me. And yeah, I don't know. This right now, I'm not seeing a ton of value here, other than if you wanted to take KC on the points, just because this could go to this looks like it's going to a pick 'em. But otherwise, sit back and relax and enjoy this one because it looks like it's going to be a great game. Take KCTs to 4.5 and alt over. I like that. 4.5 is yeah. The only thing I would say there is that when you're teasing and then you're starting to also combine overs, that is a little bit non-correlated, right? Because you've got if you're on the wrong side of the tees, basically, if let's say San Francisco does end up looking really good in a lower scoring game, that's going to favor obviously a teaser. In a higher scoring game, and there's more room for variance there. So that's just one thing to keep in mind is like if you do really like an alt, or especially for an alt that's an over, and you want to tease it, that I'd just be cautious of it unless you really like that side, because there's more outcomes to the tail that could happen there. Jets and Steelers, gonna skip this one here. 37 seems right. Nobody market did not bite at all on the Steelers scoring points today, and I agree. This is a fun one for Sunday night. Baltimore and Tampa Bay. We've got Tampa Bay on the money line. This was actually my first look as well, was Tampa as a money line, or let's go look at their spread. Let's see, what is this looking like here? Yeah, so and then if we go and look on Pinnacle. Oh, and this is my apologies. This is the doubleheader on Monday night once again. Love the doubleheader. So we've got, yeah, this looks like this could get to 3.5. Will it get to 3? I don't know. Ravens are power rated pretty well, but definitely seeing this is already at 4 at bookmaker. So, and we're seeing 4 here, shaded a little bit. I think I would have to take Tampa, at least in this one right now. Again, the Ravens can give up some points. Like their defense is definitely beatable. Tampa's got at least a better defense than Washington does, and they're playing this game on the road. So, just quick splits there. I think that this is maybe a Tampa side. The one thing I would say that you're going to hear all week is Lamar is like an insane I think he's like 21-1 or something against NFC teams. So I, there has to be something to that. They just don't see him enough. But that is the one piece that I would just keep in the back of my head. It's like, oh, it's an NFC team, you bet on Lamar, but I will not. I can't bet on them at 4.5 for sure. So I'd be happy to take the extra points. And then we got our last game here. So the last of the Monday night games. Chargers and Arizona. No surprise to me. I thought Green Bay was one of my favorite sides all week because I just thought that there was definitely a chance that Arizona would flop a little bit. But what did Arizona even score today? I mean, they let 13. So what's interesting here is that Arizona's offense has been like a little hit or miss. And I still like their offense, but it's not maybe as good as perception. I mean, you look even here at if we look at just standard scoring, 17th in scoring. Yeah, they did. They played terrible today. But I'm going to give some credit there a little bit to the Packers as well, because the Packers have been playing very well since Jordan Love has started to get healthy. So Chargers to me also just tend to be an under team, just given the way that the style they wanted to play. Herbert, I agree. Vital, he did look decent today. But to me, I think the under there would be the look for me. It's kind of sitting there, same 43.5. A little bit shaded to the under. I'm going to put this just in my picks here, and then we'll get rid of a few. But yeah, I love Jordan Love as well. I took the week after they lost to the Vikings. I did a future actually with Berg on Packers to be NFC number 1 seed, and I think it was like 29-1 or 30-1, and feeling good about that one. After seeing how they played the last couple of weeks, I think that the Packers are on their way to to just really kind of starting a nice run here. So to recap, a lot of games we got to cover today. So we look at the Thursday night game. Like I said, it looks like right now, EV wise, if you want to take New Orleans, that's probably the play. I think that this total could go a little over. For me, I'm going to take this out of the specific picks because I don't really have much of an opinion on it. But I would say New Orleans, if you're going to get a plus 100 on -1, that might be the way to go in this spot, just given that Rattler looked at least okay in that one. Lions and Vikings, I think I pointed out here, and did this already move? I think it did. Yeah, there you go. So this is why you join the show and see if you want to start placing bets as we go through. But you can see right here, this has already gone a little bit towards Minnesota, which I agree with that movement. I would say Minnesota money line. You still are getting that at like -120. That's still not a bad bet right there. You're only losing 4 cents. But interestingly enough, that actually did move while we were recording the stream. Texans and Packers. Like I said, if you're getting a +3 on Houston, boom, another one already moved. This has gone down to 2.5. So boy, this is going to be a quick review next week in terms of games that we want to actually look. I might have to start just saying, go bet this. You want to get the CLV, go bet it now. Look at that market influence we got here, right? Anyways, Houston +3. If you get that at a good price or a cheap price, that's definitely worth a look. Even though, like I said, I personally like the Packers probably in that game. Seattle +3 here. Did we see this is like EV all over the board. I just don't see any way that this stays 3. I think you're definitely going to see this go down to 2.5. So I do like that one here. Dolphins Colts. I said that the total under might be a good bet. I doubt that we see any money or movement on that through this show here. Yeah, 42.5. So that one's interesting. Probably going to, if I'm looking at these ones to take out, I will probably, probably going to take, I really do like that under, but I'll keep that in there. I'll probably keep the Rams in here as well at 4.5, just because, again, if there's a chance that Cup plays, then you're going to absolutely get some CLV on this one. KC, if you're getting that at plus 1.5, it's cheap. Not a bad play here. And then the other ones that I liked, I'll remove this again because it's not one of my favorites on the board. Tampa 4.5, I do like, and then the under 43.5, I do like as well in this spot. So we got 7 here. Yeah, usually I try to keep it at max 7, but actually a decent amount of games on the board that I like. So yeah, dig Atlanta. No, I definitely do not dig Atlanta. I think Atlanta is. I think Atlanta reminds me so much of the 2022 Vikings, and that they just not a super well coached or constructed team, but they just kind of find ways to win. So Tampa Bay, yes, I 3.5 as well. So that does it here for another stream. We went about 46 minutes. I don't know how much the Mets are down by right now, but I hope it is. Hope it is not a lot. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for once again joining. We'll be back here again next week. Just give another shout out here to make sure to join the live streams. We've got Vital. He's been part of this stream, which has been great. I try to join his as well. He does his slip streams throughout the week. You can get more info on that in the Discord. We've got streams that are going on all week, so make sure to check those out. We're here to try and help you make money and use Outlier to build your cap. I'm Slippin' Jimmy. You can find me in the Discord, also on Twitter at DadsThatBet. And we'll see you here, same time, same place next week.